Jumbo, Jumbo. Jumbo means what's up, what's happening. This is Pop Pop Grow Something. This is Nasheed Ali, storyteller inside Black Life, coming to you on Groundings, Elevation, as I do every Sunday, 6 o'clock. We start off with a story. And after the theme song, and when you hear me play my juice harp, my harmonica, that's in honor of my grandfather. They called him Pop Pop Grow Something because he was always in his yard growing something. And every day he had the first after-school program in the community because after school, all the children would come and listen to him tell a story. And that would keep them out of trouble right there in North Philadelphia. And what he would say when they would come up to him, they say, Pop Pop Grow Something, can you tell us a story? Pop Pop Grow Something would play his harmonica, his juice harp, and say, yeah, I'll tell you a story. He said, in order to tell you a story, you got to listen. But you can also tell stories by reading. And we said, reading, Pop Pop Grow Something, picking up a book and reading, because there's a lot of information in those books. So everybody in the village would ask him questions like, well, how did you learn how to read, Pop Pop Grow Something? And Pop Pop Grow Something told them the story on how he learned how to read. Said that there was a friend from Nigeria. His mother had a friend from Nigeria named Vicky onWURD. She was a Yoruba, and she would come to the house. She would be dressed in beautiful cloth and a beautiful headdress. And she would come to the house to visit Pop Pop Grow Something's mother. And she would also engage with Pop Pop Grow Something. And Pop Pop Grow Something was a little fella, a little brother. And she would ask him, do you know how to read? And Pop Grow Something was about 5, 6. He said, no. And she said, well, you've got to learn how to read. And she told Pop Grow Something's mother, you have to teach Grow Something how to read, because he wasn't Pop then, he was a little boy. You have to teach Grow Something how to read. And I would listen to her tell stories too. And Pop Grow Something would sit down and listen to her tell stories, because she lived to be an old age. And she would tell stories all the time. And one of the things she always said was, and this was in North Philly, around 23rd and Lehigh, on Sargent Street. She said, North Philadelphia reminds me of an African village. And that stuck in my mind. And I wondered why. So after she left, Pop Grow Something, mother took Pop Grow Something, and she said, Pop Grow Something. She said, I'm going to take you somewhere. That's a surprise. Oh, he was so happy. Him and his mother walked down the street. And when they walked down the street, sure enough, just like Sister Vicky said from Nigeria, it had that village feel in North Philly. Everybody knew each other. Everybody spoke to my mother, and my mother spoke to everybody. Everybody spoke to me, and I spoke to everyone. They say, Miss Grow Something, how are you? How's little Grow Something? Fine, fine. They would be sitting on their steps listening to music. We would walk down the street. The children would be playing games. They would be playing jacks, and they would be playing double dutch. And they said double dutch was a skill that came from Africa, how to jump with 2 ropes and rhythm. And they would do that pepper thing and do it real fast, and they would sing a chant to it. And I would see all of that. And my brothers, they were playing king bach, and they were playing wall ball. And they would make scooters out of milk crates and put a board under it and take these skates that they used to have that you could take apart, put the front one on the front and the back end of the skate on the back, and they would decorate it, and they would have races down the street. They would run. It was like an African village. It was thugs on the corner too, as always. But they respected Pop Grow Something mother. Miss Grow Something, how are you? And if she told them to go in the house and get off the corner, they would do it then. Anyway, Pop Grow Something mother took him to about 5 blocks and took him to this building with these 2 glass windows there. And the glass windows amazed Pop Grow Something. He asked his mother, Mother, what is this? Mama, what is this? She said, you'll see. She took him in the building, and the building was full of books. And the front window had children's books in it and had little seats where the children could look at the books. Pop Grow Something said, wow. This is what Miss Vicky from Nigeria was saying. I've got to learn how to read so I can get into these books. So he asked his mama, he said, Mama, can I get a book? She said, sure, but you have to go up and get a library card first. So they walked up to the library, and Pop Grow Something mother said, can my son get a library card? The librarian said, well, you have to sign your name. He has to sign his name. You have to sign your name, and he has to be able to write his name before we give him a library card. Well, Pop Grow Something, if he didn't read, he didn't write. Pop Grow Something started crying. Mama, I want to read. I want to learn how to read. Pop Grow Something mother took him by the hand and took him home. And as he walked home, he went through the village again, and he saw all his friends playing games. He saw the corner boy standing on the corner. He saw the neighbors, and they spoke. It was a village, and he went home. And his mama took a notebook and wrote his name. Now, Grow Something, that was a nickname that everybody called him, but his name was Ali. And it was only 3 letters, A-L-I. And she did it real light, A-L-I. And she said, son, I want you to trace these 3 letters until you get it. So Pop Grew Something, took his pencil, and he traced those letters, A-L-I, 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 50 times. And she turned the page, and it was a clean page. And she said, now you write your name without me tracing the letters for you. And sure enough, Pop Grew Something, say, A-L-I. And everybody cheered. My mama cheered. She went outside, and the neighbors cheered. They said, Grow Something. You know how to write your name. I heard you're going to go to the library and get some books. And sure enough, his mama was a young woman then. And his mama and him ran to the library. He was faster than his mama because he was a little guy. But his mama kept up with him. And they got to the library just before it closed. And they went up to the lady, the librarian. And Pop Grew Something, mama. His mama said, my son knows how to write his name. She put the library card application down, and sure enough, he did it. He said, A-L-I. The librarian cheered. All the people in the library cheered. Pop Grew Something went over and got 10 books. She said, you can take out 10 books on this library card. He picked out his favorite books. He picked out books with pictures. He picked out biographies. He picked out autobiographies. And he read. And his mama read to him every night until he learned how to read. And when Miss Vicky from Nigeria returned to the house, the first thing he said was, Sister Vicky from Nigeria, I know how to read, and I also know how to listen to you and your stories. And that's how Pop Grew Something learned how to read. And the village applauded. And he told the village, if you don't know how to read, you go home and you learn how to read. And say, parents, you go and read to your children. Sit them on your knee and read to them. Read in the name of your Creator. And that's how Pop Grew Something learned how to read.
Reading is fundamental, as they say, growing up, man. You can experience the world through reading. Pop Grew Something, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine, brother. I'm getting stronger every day, man.
What you been reading lately, sir?
Oh, man, I've been reading like little pieces of paper. You know, people wrote things down. They do their papers, and I've been going through my papers. So, you know, I got a whole bunch of stuff I've been reading. You know, I've been listening. I've been reading.
We had almost a whole storytelling squad out with us today, and for the drum circle, Baba Kenyatta was out there.
Whoa.
Mama Nzinga was out there telling stories, man. It was like almost a storytelling circle for a while.
Wow, man.
Yeah, so we holding that space for you, brother. Whenever you feel like you can.
Yeah, that's soon too.
Join
man.
in that community, man. We out there. It's getting beautiful and more beautiful. I was about to say beautifuler. every Sunday, man. It's a wonderful thing that was created. And,
yeah, that's a wonderful thing, and you know, I'm gonna be out there real soon. Soon come. But I'm glad to hear it. Every Sunday, I like to hear what's going on.
Yeah, we have an indoor space now, so when the weather breaks, we actually, you know, have a spot to go inside with. And
is it big?
I hope so. We're gonna find out next week because that's where we're gonna be.
So you being there next week?
Well, we're gonna be outside, but We're going to be outside of the spot that we're going to go inside of once the weather breaks. We want to keep that spirit of the outside going. So until we have to go inside, we're going to be outside. But we'll be at 65th and Elm where Brother Wasette will give us some more information in our next segment of Groundings, Evolutions, and Elevations with Brother Shamari. Brother Nasheed, I have a question for you, my brother, before I let you go. I have the privilege and the honor of facilitating a week-long conversation coming up this week about violence in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. And as one who respects your work, I'm wondering, man, from your perspective, what would you like to hear if you were to feel like that conversation would be productive and not typical of the way that people normally approach that dialogue? And I'm asking you, but I'm also asking our listening audience today. So we're going to have a 4-day conversation about violence, and I want to know, what is it that people want to know, or conversations that people want to hear that might be outside of the normal or typical way that we have been approaching this issue of violence as a city?
Well, who is your audience?
It's this audience, man. I'll be on from 4 to 7.
Oh,
so
it's going to be on the radio.
It's going to be on Word. Yep, a week long. Word is dedicated that space.
So you're going to be on there from 4 to 7?
Yes, sir. And I want to hear from people like what can we talk about, or how can we talk about it in such a way that it's not the same old dialogue that we normally have?
One of the things I would be asking, if it's a dialogue, is what do you think? You know, why do people take up violence in the way that it is today?
Okay.
I would get in that conversation.
And who do you think needs to answer that question? Who would that question be posed to, sir?
People in the community, people who are out there, and that's a good. That question that you just asked is a good question too, because you also want to approach the people who are out there. Mm-hmm. Like we just had a community hero pass away, and that was Malik Aziz.
Right.
And Malik Aziz, he was on the front line. He had spent some time in jail. He got out of jail, and as soon as he hit the ground running, that's what he did. He said, look, I got to stop the youth from going in there. And you might want to look into that too, you know.
Okay.
The future and what it holds if you get into violence. And talk to some of those folks, you know, and address some of the folks who have gotten out. Because there's a whole bunch of folks that's gotten out. We know artists that's gotten out, works with the community. And his people, you know, they did juvenile life and they finally got out. So you would want to find out the psychology
right. Okay.
of getting out and staying out. Don't go back and commit any violence again to put you back in.
All right. So that's the wisdom of Pop Grow Something. I'm going to ask our listening audience. I have the privilege of facilitating a week-long conversation. And I had the privilege, if you will, of interviewing. I was in this very studio with Tamia Rice's mother, Sandra Bland's mother, Eric Gardner's mother. There's a fourth mother who I'm sorry, I got to remember who, so please forgive me. I think it's Sean Bell's mother, Sean Bell out of New York. And I just remember, man, it took me almost 2 to 3 days to recover my energy after that conversation. And so I'm looking at this in the same kind of eye. Like, it's a very important dialogue. And I really want to hear from our people what we need to discuss that takes it to an elevated, if you will, and an evolved level. I want to ground the conversation. I want to evolve the conversation. I want to elevate it to a level, because I'm hoping that from the dialogue we begin to have tangible actions that we as a community take in our own hand about how we approach this issue of violence in the city of Philadelphia. So that's a question I'm asking people today.
So, Brother Shamari, before we hang up, you know, one of the questions, because they'll be calling in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Ask them what they see. You know, what do you see in the community? Because we know what we see. And I say we, I mean me and you. We know what we see. We know what we've experienced. But find out their experiences with it. Start off with that.
Okay. That's a good grounding question. I appreciate you, sir, and I'll talk to you at the end of the show.
Yes, sir.
And I'm asking you, listening audience today, hit us up, 215-634-8065, toll-free 866-361-0900. When we come back from commercial break, we'll get an update from my brother Wasette regarding the spirit of the drum, and then I'm going to open up the phone lines for you to give us some insight. You have a chance to direct me and tell me the questions, the audience. I want to know your question, but I also want to know who you want to hear answering the question that you want me to ask, because that's very important. We can ask very great questions, but if we're talking to the wrong people about that particular question, then the dialogue is not going to go very far. So let's figure this out, because I really want to come out of this week-long conversation with hopefully some insight, some elevations, some grounding, and some evolution regarding this issue that's right now plaguing our city. This is Groundings, Evolutions, and Elevations with Brother Shamari. We're right here at 96.1 FM and 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Also streaming live by way of Facebook, WURD Radio. You can follow us on all of our social media platforms at onWURD, and we will talk with you after these messages.
He knew. Donald Trump knew how deadly COVID was months ago, and he lied about it. Just listen.
Now it's turning out it's not just old people, Bob. Just today and yesterday, some startling facts came out. It's not just older young people, to plenty of young people.
Donald Trump knew as early as February just how deadly COVID was, before anyone even died, and he did nothing about it. His indifference cost tens of thousands of black lives.
It goes through air, Bob. You just breathe the air. That's how it's passed. It's also more deadly than even your strenuous flus.
Nearly 200,000 dead. 1 in 5 are black. This virus is literally killing us, and Trump did nothing to stop it.
Well, I think, Bob, really, to be honest with you, I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down because I don't want to create a panic.
Too late, Mr. President.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Livelihood. The new initiative from Word Radio to connect Philadelphians to resources to help take the next steps in their professional lives. WordWorks.com features career readiness tools, entrepreneurship resources, funding opportunities, and events to expand your livelihood. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on wordradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on wordradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk Media. This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently black. Talk Media. WURD.
The 2020 census is a snapshot of the American population. Count as Caribbean and fill out the census by mail, by phone, and online at 2020census.gov. No immigration or citizenship questions. Made possible by Caribbean community in Philadelphia and Philly Counts.
Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on Word Radio and wordradio.com.
And welcome back to Groundings, Evolutions, and Elevations with Brother Shamari. I am your host, Brother Shamari, and we come at you every Friday from 1 to 4 p.m. and then again on Sundays from 6 to 8 p.m. And as I said earlier, next week I'll be with you for pretty much the whole week. So y'all going to have to get used to me for better or worse. We're having a deep dive conversation into the issue of violence in the city of Philadelphia. And I'm asking you, our listening audience, a chance to kind of help us craft this dialogue. So if there are some things, some particular conversations, some questions, some perspectives and viewpoints that you want us to add to this dialogue, here's your opportunity to inform it. So hit us up at 215-634-8065. You can't say you didn't have this moment, y'all. Again, that's 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. And before we hop into that, I want to go to my brother Wasette to give us an update on today's and forthcoming Spirit of the Drum festivities. Greetings, good evening, my brother.
Greetings, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. It's always tired when I come right in from the drum festival, especially when we hold it over and we really don't wrap up until like 5:30. So I'm always tired, but I'm always energized, man, because I know people it sounds like a broken record, but this thing just evolves in so many different ways each time. It just does its own thing each time. I'm just always intrigued about how it unfolds.
Yeah, today was I want to chime in on your topic. You just always have these great conversation pieces, and so I just want to give my 2 cents regarding the violence. And all right,
so can we do it? Can we do it in reverse? Can we start with the drum and then you can close out with the violence?
Yeah, how about that? Let's start off with something positive, and, then yeah, right. I'm literally almost at a loss for words regarding the Spirit of the Drum, because it just gets so bigger, so better. We have individuals coming from Delaware, we have individuals coming from Jersey, and so the energy is it's just amazing, and I'm glad that we have the opportunity to we're going to evolve this. And we're going to actually take it to another level, because this is more than about just drumming and dancing and singing. This is an opportunity to use this as a platform for organization.
That's right.
So we're just so happy for all. And this just goes to show you that in our communities, if we create something that the people need, they will come.
That's right.
And so maybe because the reason why the people are not coming is because we haven't created it yet.
That's right. I mean, I hate the analogy. Well, actually, I don't hate the analogy. The analogy for me, because I grew up in the church, and I remember, I'm going to be honest with people, a lot of what keeps you in the church or any of the religious formations that people are involved with is not only what's being said and what's being talked about, it's the sense of community and family and fellowship that goes with that, man. And in the midst of a pandemic, when a lot of that was taken away from people, particularly black people, we've literally created that space for people. And I think that every week is clearer and clearer that sense of a space of fellowship, instruction, education, socialization, just family, man. It's something that our people need, and I'm just glad to be a part of a group of brothers and sisters that are bringing that across the city of Philadelphia on a weekly basis.
I couldn't agree with you more. There is so much love in that circle, and so much giving, and I think that there are a lot of examples that embody what it really, in terms of when we talk about what, as Africans, as black people, what we have to fight for. I think a lot of examples are demonstrated right in that circle. Like, there are people who freely give of each other, and they don't ask for anything in return.
Right.
And if and that's what it means to be African. Like, you give because you give from your heart, and so I see a lot of that in the Spirit of the Drum. Like I said, again, beautiful fellowship, a lot of love and energy, and then when you just see Mama K. Mama K, I think is like 85.
Yeah, she's in her 80s, man. I saw her out there doing a couple kicks today that I couldn't even do.
Listen, I'm like, and like when I say she got up, they doing the line dancing and things of that nature, and she got up, attended her business, and kept coming out there.
That's right.
And when and let me just say this, Brother Shamari, you've known that you've accomplished something when you have the babies, you have the young generation, you have your elders, and you have everybody and individuals in the middle.
Right.
We have all of that embodied in the spirit of the drum. So we're just going to continue to build on it because that's the work that the ancestors gave to us.
When I knew we crossed the Rubicon today, man, and this is definitely only an inside thing. You have to be there to know that when the sister who's always dancing on the outside of the circle finally came into the midst of the circle, face mask and all, I was like, uh-oh, she must have got caught up in the spirit because she don't never cross that line.
She don't never. She's always out on the perimeter, energized and charged like the Duracell. But when I saw her come in, I was like, okay, she felt the spirit.
Yeah, shout out again to Baba Kenyatta. We had a couple new faces in the house today. I know we had another sister from Sierra Leone or Liberia. I overheard her talking about where she was from. Of course, the standby people are always standing by and there fortifying our backbone and our spine. But it's always good to see new energy come in and the South Philly. I mean, I love it, man. The changes of location. Each location has its own energy. So, just again, man, I always want to give you your flowers on this one, man. You hit a home run on just this whole thing and bringing it to fruition.
Yeah, and the only thing that I continue to say is that, I humbly thank you, but I just say give the ancestors credit and just, I'm just glad to be able to be a vehicle, to make it happen. And so, as you already indicated, we now have our indoor space. However, even though we have our indoor space and that's where we're going to be, we will continue to be outside. So, I'm going to probably tomorrow or Tuesday, I'm going to actually go to that area just to kind of case it out. Mm-hmm. But from what I understand, it's kind of like a recreational center that we have that there's just a lot of space, but there's also like a park, that's nearby. So the beautiful thing is that, as long as the weather is good, we can remain outside, and that any hint of inclement weather or rain, we have space to go right up inside.
Yeah, it's right down the street from Bartram, right near Bartram High School, and there is a very beautiful outdoor park right there. So, yes, it's a great location, man, all around.
Yeah, that is truly a blessing. So 65th and Elmwood, we're always due at 1 o'clock.
Well, give people the exact address since we actually are talking about a building this time.
Oh, okay, 6501 Elmwood Avenue.
Right.
So exactly, 6501 Elmwood Avenue. Follow your heart and follow the drums. We'll be there at 1 o'clock. And I'm going to always recommend that people get there at 1 o'clock because when people get there at 2 and 2:30, y'all want to add the extra hour and a half on the back end, not realizing that there were people who are all ready to start this thing 1 o'clock sharp.
Right. It's all good if that's all you can do, but, it's good. I think we just need to start advertising as a full afternoon of Africa, the spirit of the drum.
Absolutely. Because at some point, you basically just kind of go with the spirit.
Right.
And I think that's kind of what happened today. So, yeah. So, again, and, if you want to find out more information, you can always connect to Spirit of the Drum on Facebook or hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, and we're always putting the information out there.
All right, my brother. So time is yours on the question that we have in front of us, man. What perspective or question or audience guest would you like to see us discuss this issue with?
So I just want to kind of touch on the issue and topic of violence because I think that oftentimes we get labeled, black people in America get labeled as being violent. And so when you look at the movies, they use their media to basically saturate this society. So when you have Boys in the Hood, you got Menace to Society, and all of these others, they have already conditioned other individuals as well as ourselves that we are violent. Mm-hmm. What I will always say is that, but where did we learn that violence from? Nobody was more violent than the individuals that basically they took us out of the motherland and captured us and brought us here. That happened through violence.
Okay.
When you think about the indigenous people in terms of that happened through violence, even in many of the religions in terms of how people were converted, that that happened through violence. So the one aspect I will say is that I think that people need to understand that this was not just indicative of you. You learned that behavior from somewhere.
Okay.
The second thing that I want to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I said, okay.
And the second thing is real quick is that I think that when we think about how the level of violence is being perpetrated on us, I'll always say that black love is the key, and that the only way that you're going to erase, see, if you love yourself and if you love black people, it's impossible for you to perpetrate violence. You can only perpetrate violence on something that you don't love and you don't care for and that you don't have respect for. And so I think that one of the things that we're going to have to do, and we have yet to have this conversation, is that we're going to have to really, in my opinion, initiate a black love campaign.
Okay.
You know, people have to love themselves in order to erase this violence that we just, you know, senselessly perpetrate on ourselves. And that's just my 2 cents.
I appreciate that perspective, and that's what I'm asking you. If you're out there and you have some insights as to how we can frame this conversation, any perspectives, any questions, particular voice that you want to hear from that you feel has been absent from the dialogue, you know, that the city has been having, because it's a major conversation, because it's a major issue in the city of Philadelphia, and we have a chance to dive in and address it. So hit me up at 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900 if you want to share your thoughts and perspective. In our 7 o'clock hour, I'm going to shift gears a little bit, and I'm going to interview my producer, Ngakia Kamada. You know, she said she's going to be around for a while, so I want my people to get to know her and who's behind the board and what it is she wants to do with herself, what her long-term vision is, because we might be able to help her out, right? So stay tuned. When we come back, we'll get to the phone lines and take your views about how we approach this conversation next week. Stay tuned.
We've all adjusted our daily routines in these unprecedented times. And for many of us, voting at our polling place in November is a routine that means so much. But did you know that every Pennsylvania voter can vote by mail from home this year? Whether you're a Pennsylvania senior, essential worker, or simply someone who needs more flexibility to vote within a challenging schedule, voting by mail allows you to make your voice heard at the ballot box on your schedule while protecting your family's health. You can turn your mailbox into a ballot box by simply visiting votespa.com on your computer or any mobile device to request your mail-in ballot. With November 3rd around the corner, it's more important than ever to request your mail-in ballot today. It's simple, secure, convenient, and safe. This year, you shouldn't have to choose between your vote and your health. We're all in this together, and voting by mail gives you the power to make your voice heard. So sign up at votespa.com or return your mail-in ballot application to your county election office today. Paid for by Power Interfaith.
During these unprecedented times, we're creating a lot of extra trash, and that means delays across the city with curbside collection. That's why we have some simple tips that will help you to reduce curbside waste and collection delays. Reduce food waste by using garbage disposals or composting, and limit bulk waste to 2 items per household. Set out trash properly. That means using sturdy trash bags and covering containers with lids. Make sure your trash bags are not heavier than 40 pounds. Set out trash no earlier than 7 p.m. before your collection day and 7 a.m. the day of collection. And remember, you can drop off materials at sanitation convenience centers 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Last and most importantly, thank our sanitation workers for their hard work during these challenging times. We all have a role to play to curb our waste and help our city. Learn more at philadelphiastreets.com.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time, Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. This program is pre-recorded. No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com.
Trump spends his time golfing While COVID-19 hits the black community hard, it's not just wrong, it's immoral. We need Joe Biden. Joe takes COVID-19 seriously and understands the economic and health impact it's had on our community. Joe will listen to the medical experts, and he will protect Obamacare. Trump, he won't even wear a mask. Request a ballot now. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it. Paid for by Ask Me People, which is responsible for the content of this ad. AskMePeople.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on Word Radio and WordRadio.com.
Back to Groundings, Evolutions and Elevations with Brother Shamari. And let's jump in again. If you have some thoughts, some perspectives, some questions, some requested audiences to hear from regarding our conversation about violence, here's your time. Hit us up. 215-634-8065. Hold free 866-361-0900. By the way, the music you're going to hear and have been hearing is from a group called Horoya, H-O-R-O-I-A, Horoya. It's an Afro-Brazilian group. Going to feature some of their music because they feature the djembe a lot in their music, and I like the groove, I like the sound. So we're going to groove with it a little bit, maybe even a whole lot right here on our show today. Let's go to line 2 and talk to Maurice from Southwest. This is Southwest Maurice. How you doing, Maurice?
Well, I'll be at the African drum beat because that's in my neighborhood.
Okay.
For the first time, okay?
Yeah, well, we making it around. We can't be everywhere. We getting to you.
No, but I like that you're moving. But look, number one thing, Pop, is his tapes available? Because I think that would be a great big time.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea, but we can go back and get them. I never thought about that, but I got to talk to Pop, number one, and make sure he's okay with it.
Because back in the day, that's what my parents used to tell me about Black Wall Street when I was like 7, 8 years old and how I was descended. But
Brother Maurice, you just gave up a wonderful idea, man. I'm gonna give you credit for it. But me and Pop Grossum gonna sit down and we gonna do some history through storytelling, and we gonna make it available to people. I just for the record, brother, I'm gonna let you get to your point. But we've been getting I've been getting very wonderful feedback about the vibe and the feel of starting the show with the stories, and particularly with Pop Grow Something. So, Brother Nasheed, if you're out there listening, man, let's take it to the next level, man. I appreciate that idea, Brother Maurice.
Well, I didn't become a wise thinker until I lost my sight. But let me tell you something, brother. The violence, I talk to the young boys around here all the time. I ask them about the violence. And you know what they tell me? They don't have any dreams or hopes. I don't even hear them even trying to find a job because they think there's nothing out there for them. You know, they don't think if they go apply for a job, they're going to get it. They don't feel, they don't exchange money in a business with a black hand.
Right.
You know, they don't see anybody prosper that's black. So this is one of the main reasons. You can't tell somebody to put down the gun if you ain't got nothing to offer.
Okay. So so as far as the recommendation, it would be to kind of hear directly from young brothers and sisters who are out there, you know,
on the streets.
On the streets.
Not the ones from Central.
Right.
Not the ones from Mastering, because they already got it where they're going. I'm talking about the ones from Bartram, the ones from Overbrook. Because I've been noticing the last 3 weeks, that's all they've been putting on the air is people in these better schools that's already, their life has already got it to where they're going. But the other ones, they just leave out. Like our school system is great. I hear you talking about it a lot. But here's another thing, and I'll end with this. You know how when people call out and they want to get somebody from the West Coast or somebody in Georgia, if they keep acting like Philadelphia is on an island, this radio station alone is the only black talk radio station in Pennsylvania. But we act like Pittsburgh and Harrisburg is in Mecca somewhere. We don't never contact people in Pittsburgh and have them on as guests, or people in Harrisburg and have them on the guests, because the whole thing, if you into the election thing, the thing is to win the state. But we never talk to anybody else.
That's a good point.
We talk to the Norristown, the Pittsburghs, the Norton, the Coatesville, but we never do it.
Okay, that's a good. Brother, you 2 for 2 on your ideas today. I ain't gonna lie. Well, actually 3 for 3.
Because there's other people on the line, but I'm just saying. You got to think. You know, I'm not an educated man, but I'm just using common sense.
Common sense is the best form of education. You're 3 for 3, actually. I think your Pop Grow Something idea is magnificent. I think hearing from the brothers and sisters directly, and we have Wednesday slotted for that. So we definitely going to get a real nitty-gritty view.
Let me close with this one.
Hold on, let me just recap the third one. The third one is making sure we hear voices from across the state of Pennsylvania.
This is a thing to benefit the station. If you let more people on instead of holding on for 45 minutes just to say 2 minutes of a statement, you would get more members, you would get more people interested in URD, because I turn on a lot of people to URD. They might listen for a week or so, but they say, hey, man, I can't hang on the phone like that because it's the era of the cell phone. I can't hang on the phone like that to talk. And then they go on to whatever else, listen to R&B or rap. But this station is the most important thing for the last 15 years I've been listening that's going on, and a lot of people have no knowledge, so I'll leave with that.
All right, my brother. I thank you for your insights. Let's go to Eric, line 2, or line 1, or one line. Is this Eric?
Hey, God bless you, good brother.
Eric from New Orleans. What's up, man? How you doing?
All right. Glad to talk to you as usual. I ran across some research. I hadn't looked at it lately, but they said that among African Americans, the recidivism rate, the rate of returning back to imprisonment after they were let out, actually decreased once they were exposed to African American culture.
Okay.
So that's something I would like to see.
Yeah, send me that research, my brother, because I use it in my work, and I've had personal anecdotal testimony that it's effective. But I would love to see if there's some other research that establishes that.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up myself. I remember running across a few years ago, and then it just stayed in my mind. And then also following up on what your first call was saying in terms of reaching out to the brothers. I know we would go out into the community and give brothers and sisters information about job opportunities. But many times, they would not follow through on that, maybe due to hopelessness or just figuring nothing's going to happen. So we knew that we would have to return the next couple of times just to reinforce and try to encourage them to actually go out and follow up on the lead. So I think reach out and knowing that first initial attempt to expose them to the job opportunity, the education opportunity, may not be enough. There has to be consistent follow-up to really get them to take advantage of the situation. So.
It's about presence. We're not going to be able to be guests and step in and step out. It's like we had to establish a new level of presence in the village that people can access and touch and see and know. So I appreciate, again, those insights.
Yeah, definitely. And they were always very receptive to us coming out. No one ever gave us a hard time. They were very happy to see us, and no problems with violence or anything. But I think just the community to be encouraged to reach out to our brothers and sisters who are in a disadvantaged situation is very beneficial.
Before I let you go, brother, give us a sense of, like in Philadelphia, we're having, I hate using the word epidemic because it just has been overused. We're having heightened levels of violence in the city, almost back to the levels that we were experiencing when crack cocaine and the drug game was at its height. And I'm wondering, what's it feel like on the ground in New Orleans? Is it a similar pattern, or is violence not as problematic?
Yeah, it's the exact same pattern. We've had this high spike in violence that hadn't really occurred since about 2 years ago, because the last 2 years or 3 years there's been a steady decline. But it seems like after this whole COVID deal, people, job opportunities are lost, a lot of frustration. I guess some people maybe be pent in. So a combination of things, there's been a significant increase in terms of, shootings, and of course the number of homicides have gone up significantly also. So like you were saying, they said it's a nationwide phenomenon going on.
All right, well, we got to dive into it because it's definitely going to be a for us, by us thing. I don't think that we're in a position to rely on anybody, local, state, federal, elected officials, or business people, the 1%, the whatever you want to call them. I don't think that anybody else outside of us has incentive to fix this issue. So it's going to be for us, by us, and it's time for us to have that level of dialogue.
Exactly.
Well, always good hearing from you, my brother. Hope to see you soon. Hope the traveling mercies make it such that I can get back to New Orleans sometime soon, man.
They have you.
All right, looking forward. Come up on a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to hear a little bit more music of Oh, yeah, and then I'm going to interview Ngakia Kamara, my producer, so y'all can get to know her, know what she's all about. Might be some ways she can help you, or we can help her. That's how this works. Right here on Groundings, Evolutions and Elevations with Brother Shamari. Talk to you after these messages.
Recovery starts with a call. Pennsylvania's Substance Use Disorder Hotline is staffed by real people who are trained to help. They're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They'll get you or your loved one into treatment regardless of your access to insurance. If you or someone you know is suffering from addiction, call 1-800-662-HELP. Recovery starts with a call.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Keeping you informed. As a community service, Word Radio and the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium wants to keep you informed about where you can get no-cost, barrier-free COVID-19 testing this week. Tuesday, September 29th, from noon till 5 p.m. at Sharon Baptist Church, 3955 Conshohocken Avenue. Thursday, October 1st, from 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. at New Covenant Church of Philadelphia, 7500 Germantown Avenue. And Saturday, October 3rd, from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. at Mount Airy Church of God in Christ, 6401 Ogons Avenue. Stay informed and stay well with Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Support for WORD comes from the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society. You see them every day, in your house, in your neighborhood. They have been with you your whole life, providing comfort, reducing stress, cleaning your water. The plants and gardens around us have enormous impact in our lives. At PHS, we know a seed is more than a plant. Gardening is more than a hobby. That's why PHS invites you to join with them. Plant with purpose. Build healthier communities. Grow together. Learn more at phsonline.org/together.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy.
Come on out and become a Word Radio member one by one. Renew your membership or get a new one get serious information, and have some fun. Call 215-425-7875. That's 215-425-7875. Come on out and become a Word Radio member one by one. Renew your membership or get a new one. Get serious information and have some fun.
The 2020 census is a snapshot of the American population. Count as Caribbean and fill out the census by mail, by phone, and online at 2020census.gov. No immigration or citizenship questions. Made possible by Caribbean Community in Philadelphia and Philly Counts.
This is Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media. Groundings with Brother Shamari. Right now on Word Radio and WordRadio.com.
And welcome back to Groundings, Evolutions, and Elevations with Brother Shamari, right here at WRD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WRDRadio.com. Also streaming live on Facebook Live at WRD Radio. Follow us on all of our social media platforms at ONWURD. We're entering into our interview segment with the producer behind the boards. I'm trying to speak softly because she's easily intimidated, so this is my non-intimidating voice. Ngakia Kamara, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. So introduce yourself on your terms to our listening audience. What is it that you would like to share by way of introduction?
Oh, okay.
Then I could get into the quiz.
Okay. My name is Ngakia Kamara. I attend American University. We're online, so I'm no longer in D.C. I'm studying political science and African American studies. And I'm still... Oh, okay. These are the interesting things, the ones that you would want me to share. So,
you can share what you want to share.
Already shared with the rest of you that I am Sekou Touré's great niece. So that's an interesting fact. Other than that, I am quite not interesting.
So for people who may not know, because we don't want to assume, Sekou Touré matters. Why? Like why was that interesting for you to share?
He was a revolutionary. He was the first president of La Guinée or Guinea Conakry in West Africa. And he was just a revolutionary. And my father looked up to him a lot. I look up to him and his teachings, and so does the rest of Guinea. We still follow in the footsteps of what he wanted for that nation.
So I'm gonna have to let you go for a minute so you can buzz Mr. Barnes in. So do that. So interestingly enough, we hear a lot about Kwame Nkrumah when people talk about Pan-Africanism and other things, but you know, another monumental figure in that area was Ahmed Sekou Touré. And so we're going to talk a little bit about it. Another aspect of this, ironically, is a lot of times when people think about the role of the drum and a renewed sense of pursuing African culture through the drum, we think about Babatunde Olatunji. We think about a lot of maybe Cuban drummers like Mongo Santa Maria. One of the areas we don't really get credit also comes out of Guinea, and that's the dance company, the national, who really were ambassadors in the 60s and 70s and bringing the djembe drum and some of the master drummers who came out of that company, and that being a part of the cultural legacy of Ahmed Sekou Touré, really wanting to promote this idea of the West African culture, the djembe and the balafon and all of these other instruments, and really bridging the diaspora through the culture. So I don't know, I don't know that you were born when he was alive, but any of the stories that get left behind for you. My question for you, I'm wondering whether your family has been intentional about telling you that legacy and then saying to your generation of the family how, what are the expectations for how you ought to carry on that legacy?
Yeah. That's a loaded question. But I mean, because my parents, they came here in the early 90s, they wanted to make sure that my brothers and sisters, that we kind of still were rooted in our Guinean heritage. And so my dad would always tell me about Ahmed Sekou Touré's teachings. My dad spoke with him. My dad, it wasn't like they were like uncle and nephew, best friends forever. He was very busy, and he had his own agenda, and he had a lot of things going on. So my father never was with him personally or persistently in that way, but his family was very, very, very well in touch and ingrained with his uncle's teachings. and he made sure to let me and my brothers and sisters know that as we were growing up.
Okay. I have another, maybe, as you say, loaded question, and then I'll let you off the hot seat and go more personal with it. So my loaded question now has to do with Islam. And I'm wondering, my understanding is that you're, I guess here it would be called Muslima, Muslim woman.
Yeah.
I've always heard about, I'm not Islamic, so I don't have a frame of reference for it, but I know that one of his books was Islam for the People's Benefit. And I'm wondering whether there's an African-centered approach to Islam.
It's very interesting.
Is that a real thing? Because I always attribute that he was trying to, or at the forefront, and not just him, the legacy of that family, because it's not just he comes from a great lineage of family.
Absolutely.
And I'm just always wondering about the push-pull of Arabized Islam and African Islam, and whether in your approach or your practice of Islam, is there such a thing, a real thing, as an African version of that, or is it all the same thing?
Yeah, so there is such a thing as the Africanization of Islam. And it's basically when we took our beliefs, our culture, our heritage that existed prior to Islamization, as some people call it, and intertwined it with Islam. And that's basically, it's the same kind of thing with my family. I think Islam it's a religion, but it's a principle. And it's not about, it's more about applying those things into your life. I wish I could explain this better, but you apply those principles into your life the way that you live it. It's not necessarily about molding and changing into a specific culture, but it's more about applying those principles into your culture. And that's basically what the Africanization of Islam is. So there's a lot of, there's still the festivals, there's still the culture that's there. It's just the principles have kind of shaped them differently, and are rooted within them, if that makes any sense at all.
I said I was going to let you off the hot seat, but we're going to get hotter. Because you're African American, what are you, what's your major?
African American.
So you can handle it. All right, so for instance, in our drum circle, I've heard it said that there might be, let's say we were looking for indoor spaces, right? And I said, okay, maybe we have churches that are abandoned now. We have mosques that people aren't going to because of COVID, or maybe a school. And but my thing was, I wouldn't want to go into a religious space that has plenty of space if there's going to be restrictions on how we get to do our drum and dance. And we're pretty, regulated in what we do. It's not like we're in there doing anything quote unquote crazy. So I'm wondering about all those types of restrictions, particularly from an Islamic perspective, that the counter narrative is, when I look at it, I've seen video of Les Ballets Africains de Guinea, and knowing that Sekou Touré is Muslim, that Guinea is probably at least a majority Muslim country, but I'm watching people do very Africans. I've seen women dance bare-breasted in the expression of the culture. So I'm just wondering, how does it look so different in one place and then manifest so differently here, even though it's the same thing? And so how does culture play a role in the definition of how people do their religion?
That is a very, very, very loaded question. And I, as an African American, I wish that I could say that I can answer this as accurately as possible.
It's just your answer, your viewpoint. Let's build.
Right. You're absolutely right. It's the same kind of thing. It's the same kind of thing in the United States, right? Where you have Muslim women, Arab Muslims, who don't wear the hijab, right? Who wear ripped jeans, shirts with short sleeves, those kinds of things. And in a way, that's them, like they still pray. They still, are kind to one another. They still practice things with peace, or go about things with peace, right? And that's the whole idea of Islam, is about that peace. It's not necessarily about it's not about, you know, what you look like. It's not about how you dress. It's not about that. But how are you going to apply the principles of Islam, right? There's the whole idea about, you know, covering yourself and all of those things. But those are extra expectations, you know. And they a lot of them, some of them, I want to say a lot of them, but some of them are rooted in that Arab culture as well, right? But the whole idea of Islam is about how are you going to apply these principles of peace, of XYZ, into your daily life.
Okay.
How are you going to... So, of course, there are going to be some things that counter that, right? Like the women dancing, you know, without shirts on. But that's more of an artistic, cultural expression, you know. As long as you're focused on that main principle,
right. Okay.
Those main principles of Islam, at least that's how my parents go about it.
So when you're in D.C. or here, if you go to a mosque or for worship or fellowship, do you go to the traditional ones? Is there a specific one that you would go to that's more African, or is it the same? I'm just curious.
I pray at home. I don't typically go to mosques all the time, but when I do, it's for major holidays, and we typically go to the ones closest to us. There are a lot of mosques in Guinea. I don't know why I said Guinea, in Philly. That
we're sister states and countries and nations
that are predominantly black. But my parents are not as close to Philly as I am now. I'm staying with my sister, so we live in this suburban white neighborhood, and the majority of the people in those mosques are Turkish or Arab, et cetera, et cetera. And it's definitely different. The clothing is different, right? I remember one time, I'll never forget, my mom was wearing, her hijab was not covering her arms fully. And so it was like cut off here.
Okay.
And this one woman was like, oh, you have to, you know what I mean? And that's just not, we don't think
that wouldn't have been a thing.
For us, it's like we're trying our best, we're covering, and we're praying. Like that's the most important part, is that we're praying. That's why I say, like, as long as you are following those principles, those main principles. Of course, there are the other extra things that, you know, you should try and incorporate, but as long as you incorporate the principles into your culture and into your life daily, that's the most important part about it.
Well, I appreciate you being flexible. I know I put you on a hot seat a little bit, but so let's come back to yourself. I'm curious as to what your goals and aspirations are, both kind of within the major that you're pursuing, but then also from a communication media perspective.
Right. So I did want to get my PhD. I did. And I wanted to study African American studies with my PhD and focus on African Americans in film and entertainment, and what history that's rooted in.
Okay.
And then I want to, like, be a professor. That was my goal. Of my dissertation. So create my own kind of class around that, and then write, and also create and make art at the same time. So I write screenplays, and I write poetry. I do a lot of writing.
Okay.
And I also do theater. So
acting, set design, what aspect of it? Okay.
Acting, singing, but I don't know. As soon as I started working at WURD, now I'm thinking about getting my master's, perhaps in communications.
Okay.
And then, working at a radio station like this, or maybe going out and working with, so stupid, but BuzzFeed or something.
Okay, I don't know why that's stupid, but cool. I just want our listening audience, you can grab that line right there. I want our listening audience to get to know Ngakia Kamara. She's the producer right here on our Sunday edition of Groundings, Evolutions, and Elevation. And, just again, I told y'all when I first met her and she mentioned her connection to Ahmed Sekou Touré. He, along with Kwame Nkrumah. As a matter of fact, if you ever listen to Stokely Carmichael, and his name is man, I am blanking today. I'm really getting old. Kwame Ture. There we go. Kwame Ture is a merging of the two ideas of Kwame and Nkrumah, the two men, Kwame and Nkrumah, and Sekou Touré. That's why he chose the name Kwame Touré, because he understood that in many ways they were kind of like the twin towers of Pan-Africanism at that time, and really even Sekou Touré gave shelter to Kwame Nkrumah once he was exiled out of Ghana. So there's a very tight connection between Ghana and Guinea. As a matter of fact, there used to be something called the Ghana-Guinea-Mali Federation, where those three countries, in the name of Pan-Africanism, were modeling themselves almost as if the desire was to operate as one country, one nation, one combined kind of idea. Where'd that go? Because I want us to grapple with that. I want us to understand where we were versus where we are now when we talk about the idea of diaspora, when we talk about the idea of Pan-Africanism, when we talk about the idea of unification and loyalty. This idea that we didn't get along, this idea that these men also sheltered and opened and welcomed Malcolm X. When Malcolm X was in Africa, these are the types of men and leaders and women he was meeting with in this name of trying to create what they now call the Sixth Region, but this Pan-African global diasporic unity. And I want us to remember that we were here, and what our obligation is to carry on that legacy. Because oftentimes we want to act like this idea of global Pan-African unity is a new thing. I am saying it's almost like the Tower of Babel or Babel. We've been reaching for it for a very long time. And every time we get close, something happens to kind of disperse and divide and to conquer. And I think that it's time for us to reconsider a new path forward, which is an old path forward, which is the unification of our people across these waters. If you have any thoughts on that, or returning to our first question, any ideas, any perspectives, any questions, any particular people you want to hear from, as we explore next week our upcoming week-long conversation around violence in the city of Philadelphia. Hit us up at 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. And also, as a reminder, we are exploring the music of Horoya today, H-O-R-O-Y-A. That is H-O-R-O-Y-A, Afro-Brazilian group. That I just like their approach to the music, so I just wanted to share. We'll talk with you after these messages.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. If your heating and cooling system is more than 20 years old, it may be time for your contractor to replace it with a high-efficiency Energy Star certified model. You'll get a rebate from Pico and save on your monthly electric bill. You'll find a list of new heating and cooling system rebates at pico.com/rebates. Or you can call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE for all the details. Plus, find instant discounts on smart thermostats and more at pico.com/marketplace. There's free shipping on orders over $49.
The 2020 census is a snapshot of the American population. Count as Caribbean and fill out the census by mail, by phone, and online at 2020census.gov. No immigration or citizenship questions. Made possible by Caribbean Community in Philadelphia and Philly Counts.
Word Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the up-and-coming election. Still concerned about COVID-19 and voting in person? Pennsylvania has you covered with mail-in ballots. Simply submit a completed ballot by mail. So long as you request that mail-in ballot between now and October 27th, go to votespa.com and apply for your mail-in ballot today. When your ballot arrives, read it carefully and follow the instructions to complete it and return it. You can also track and confirm that your County Board of Elections has received the mail-in ballot by going to votespa.com. For more information on how to vote in Pennsylvania, visit states.aarp.org/Pennsylvania. Vote early. Word Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the up-and-coming election. Stay informed and vote. For more from Charles Ellison, tune in Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or visit wordradio.com.
Greetings. Join me, Brother Shamari, beginning this Monday, September 28th, for a week-long look at violence in Philadelphia. We'll have on-air conversations every day, looking at different themes such as best practices in violence prevention at a local and national level. We're going to look at African-centered and other culturally relevant ways of conflict resolution tried throughout the world. We're going to hear directly from brothers and sisters on the streets who have been impacted by violence. And we're going to do an assessment and make recommendations to our city about ways we can prevent the epidemic level of violence happening in and around Philadelphia. So don't miss it this Monday through Thursday, 4 to 7 p.m. and Friday, my normal time, 1 to 4 p.m. right here on WURD Radio, streaming live on WURDradio.com and the Word Radio app, or watch live on Word TV via Facebook. Hotep and peace.
Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on Word Radio and WordRadio.com.
A special guest is called in with a song by Luigi Luna. Enjoy.
Da América do Sul me guia, trago uma mala de mão, dentro uma oração, uma vez. Eu sou um corpo, um ser, um corpo só. Tem cor, tem corte, e a história do meu lugar. Eu sou a minha própria embarcação. Sou minha própria sorte. Atravessei o mar, sol da América do Sul me guia. Trago uma mala de mão, dentro uma oração, uma vez.
And welcome back to Groundings, Evolutions, and Elevations with Brother Shamari. And one more time, who was that? We're in our Afro-Brazilian flow today. I've been featuring the music of Horoya, but someone called in and said, hey, since y'all doing this Afro-Brazilian thing, why don't you check out
Luigi Luna. That's spelled Luedji space Luna.
All right, so there we go. We exploring all around our diaspora today, but with a particular focus on Brazil musically. We'll get some more Horoya in the mix. And again, if you want to call and add to our discourse, hit us up at 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. Brother David Barnes, how are you today? Good to see you as always, and thank you for your support of our Spirit of the Drum, man. It's always good to see you out there.
Thank you so much, Brother Shamari. And it's not just a use for me, too. I go out there and get my...
All right, time out. We got to make sure your mic is on. I don't think... All right, time out. I know we got a multitasking, but I need to hear him. All right.
No, is my mic on? No, that's not it. Okay, maybe that's it.
There we go.
Okay.
All right.
Yes. So thank you, Brother Shamari. And I come out to the Spirit of the Drum ceremony, not just for you and the group, but I come out for my own spiritual rejuvenation. You know, In fact, now it's hard for me to come into the studio without getting my Sunday shot.
You get your ginger shot and your drum shot, and so you're ready to go from 8 o'clock up until 11, right?
8 to 11 p.m. We have tonight on our show Michael A. Griffin, CEO of Ashanti Produce International and Honorary Consul General to Namibia. Now that the airlines are starting to have flights back to Africa.
Oh, wow, okay.
Back on the tarmac again, but we're going to have him here in the studio tonight before he probably goes back to Africa in October. So, and then in the 10 o'clock hour, we have Patrick and Jadu with our Afrobeat segment, which actually puts people to sleep after they dance their night away from 10 to 11 p.m.
You know, tell Brother Patrick, and I'm saying this facetiously because I know he's in the next room, but he promised me an Afrobeat mixtape.
He did.
A few months back. Wow. And, you know, I want to put the reminder, Brother Patrick, from Ghana, my Ghanaian brother. We've been giving Ghana some love. We've been focusing on Guinea today, but I'm still waiting for my Afrobeat mixtape.
Well, you know, I can send you a copy of last week's 10 to 11 p.m.
Okay,
show.
there you go. See how we work that out.
That's right.
So again, let people know what they can expect on this evening's edition of the New World View.
Yes, well, from 8 till 10 p.m. we have Michael A. Griffin, CEO of Ashanti Produce International, and in the 10 to 11 p.m. we have Patrick and Jadu with the Afrobeat After Party. All right here on New World View, exclusively on 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live worldwide at WURDradio.com.
I've been meaning to ask you this real quick before you jump out here. New World View.
Yes.
But what were you thinking when you named your show that? What was the perspective you wanted people to have?
Glad you asked that. A very good question. When I started my broadcast career in radio in 2000 at WHAT 1340 AM, I named my show African World View.
Okay.
And so when I came here to WURD, I was going to keep the same name, African World View, but Sister Maisha Ngozi had a program, and actually I was going to name my program Higher Ground.
Ah, I was thinking about that for this.
And then she says, well, her show has a similar name to it, and she asked if I would consider changing the name. So I didn't want to go back to the African worldview. I went back to New Worldview, because we have to stop. We as Africans born in America have to stop seeing ourselves through European worldview.
Right.
You know, and when we begin to see ourselves as Africans and see ourselves with an African worldview, then we have a better chance of liberating ourselves.
I agree. Better chance. I think it's the only chance, bro. I mean, hopefully, if one thing people haven't learned by now in 2020 is, you know, and I was saying this earlier, these are false choices, Democrat and Republic. I told people America and China are in co-opetition with each other. They're on the same team. Much like America and Russia were on the same team.
Good cop, bad cop.
Much like the liberals and the Democrats and the Republicans are on the same team.
That's right.
And much like the good guys and the bad guys in a wrestling match are on the same team, because they all count the same money at the end of the show.
That's right. They all, you know, support their own interests.
So it's not for us to pick either side of that game. It's for us to understand that there's another way, our way. It's not even an alternative way. It's the way we must return to, and it's there for us if we seek it.
That is true.
And you know, I really believe that that's the lesson and the moment that we're in.
Absolutely. We are at the precipice.
I agree with you.
You know, it's now or never.
It has to be, my brother, and I'm hoping that people get that. That's why I really want to, every time I do my touch on the airways, I want to create that space where we say, look, you know, I'm not disrespecting anybody in what you do. I don't.
Right.
I'm not asking you not to do certain things. I am saying there's a new way, whether you want to call it a new view, whether you want to call it the old way,
that's right,
or as Aikwe Arma says in his work, returning to the way. You know, in 2,000 seasons. And we have a way. We have an African way, a black way. And I believe that the lesson that we are commissioned to learn this time around is that is the way if we want to be a free, sovereign people. Now, if you want to stay on your knees and begging for acceptance and asking people to make your life matter, that's your choice.
Well, you know, at one time we called ourselves New World Africans. So if you want to be a New World African, you have to create your own view and get rid of those older things that you used to see as legitimate.
And so if you want to build with the brothers and the sisters and my brother David Barnes on Get Your New World View Right.
That's right.
Stay tuned. Don't go nowhere. Right after Groundings, Elevations.
Right. Get right or get left.
Evolutions, you'll be able to buy with brother David Barnes, brother Patrick, and all the other guests and powerful people that he has with him. Let's go to Spread Love. Line 1, greetings.
God bless, Brother Shamari. How you making that, family?
I'm doing good in yourself, Spread Love.
God of glory, give thanks for your show, WRD family. Give thanks for the Empress on the boards, doing a beautiful job. I hear my brother, the Elder Ross David Barnes, on the mic.
That's right.
God bless his life, and God bless all the victims and everyone working to make it better, you know, son.
There you go.
And I was going to answer both the questions at once.
All right, hit it.
Put the youth on the Pan-Africanism and show them our heroes, like Edward Blyden, you know what I mean? All the way through. David Walker, Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey, Harriet Tubman. Who else you want to throw in the mix? You got it. You know what I'm talking about.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, show them our heroes. Because what our youth suffer is the American way, which is violence. You know what I mean? But we can't blame the youth. Because think about it. The ones who made it better for us were considered outlaws. So the idea of being an outlaw is romanticized, but they got the wrong focus. That's why I was going to say put them on to the Black Panthers. Instead of putting down the guns, teach them who to point the guns at. You know what I mean? But you also got to tell the youth, I say, you got to talk to the youth, ask them why they doing it.
Okay.
And what's the reason? And really talk to them. Not on no pedestal or soapbox like you're trying to correct them. Give them somebody they can talk to.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And also show love, genuine love, not just the word everybody throw around, but bona fide love. Help them understand that they are desired.
Yes.
And they are truly cared for, and we care for them. And help them realize, like you were saying earlier, we got a legacy. Help them realize they are part of that legacy. One thing I try to share with my children is they are our future.
Right.
You know, and so when you feel like you got something to live for, that's what makes the difference.
Exactly, yes.
You know what I mean? And it may not come from a job.
But by how old are you, Spread Love? Because you make a very valid point. I really want people, my testimony, I'll be 55 next month. I tell people all the time, to the extent that I stayed out of trouble, and I've done by many accounts a great job of that, to the extent I've been a positive contributor, and by many accounts I've done that. It has been, since I've been a little boy, it's been poured into me that I was raised for a purpose, that I have a contribution to make. And every time I think about doing something dumb, I think about the fact, and I don't know what that reverb is, I think about, that always comes back to me. That idea that I'm bigger than this, that I have a destiny, I have a purpose, I have a legacy, all of those things, that's what I rely on to make, to walk the walk that I've walked. And I don't think we're pouring that expectation into our young people.
That reverb is job reverberation, I reverberation, job powers. Straight up. Yeah, that's the thing, too. Put them on the Jah Almighty, man. Rastafari is here for the people. And that's what Rastafari is here for. You want to talk about being young? Man, I've been young and on nothing but trouble. I got references. But at the same time, what happened? Jah Almighty showed mercy on me to make me say I could do better. And that's the whole thing. When people say they can do better, they're going to take the opportunity to do better. And don't worry, you can't get everyone. You can't. It's not going to happen. It's not going to fall through the cracks. It's unfortunate. It's just how it go. I mean, remember like day 2, Cain slew his brother Abel. You know what I mean? But at the same time, get the ones you can get.
All right, Spread Love. Let's do it. I'm looking forward to the conversation. I'm going to keep myself elevated as we get into this deep conversation around violence in our city. So I definitely want to take this framework of grounding it in our culture and our purpose and our way, having some evolution about the dialogue and what we can expect of ourselves in answering this, so that we as a people can elevate to our higher calling, our higher ground, and our highest selves. So I look forward to it. Let's jam a little bit as we go into our commercial break and upcoming our final segment with Pop. No, something. Let's get a little bit more of Haroya in the house.
dignidade em corpo, mente, espírito. Que a alma tem um povo de um passado sem glória. O que pode esse povo, privado de história? Que corpo tem futuro, passado, presente? Se a herança é a dor, chicote, corrente, na alma, na mente. Servindo a ganância alheia, vivendo, morrendo, descrente. Nesse pedaço de terra, amontoado de gente. Minoria luta, maioria consente. Minoria luta, maioria consente. Se de sangue e estupro somos feitos, nós então quem somos? O bandeirante, o missionário ou o índio? O capitão do navio negreiro, o capanga, o capitão do mato, o escravocrata ou o quilombola, o capoeira? O que explora e destrói ou o que cultiva a terra? Ou somos nós a terra? Essa terra, nação diversa, sem eixo nem rumo, dos filhos órfãos que aqui pariu, pátria amada. De passado em diante tem futuro? Que futuro tem? Pra quem?
Que sejam eternos todas as pessoas, grupos e espaços que lutam e lutaram contra as restrições de liberdade, a opressão, a escravidão e o genocídio. Todas as revoltas, fugas e submissões e resistência. A todos que queimaram engenhos e se recusaram às missões, que envenenaram e subverteram ordens. A todos que resistiram. Viva Zumbi, Transfanon, Samori Touré, Davi Yanomami, Toma Sankarã, Inzinga, Meko Cabral, Cheamadu Bamba, Raoni Kayapó, Beanzan, Marcos Garvey, Malcolm X, Nelson Mandela. Todas as aldeias, quilombos, aimorés, caciques e pajés, aos caboclos, herês, pretos velhos, toda a linha de Umbanda, meu pai Oxalá, todos os orixás, divos mestres, Samu do Konatê, Lama de Keita, do Dunga Rose, Felacuti, e outros tantos do caminho pelo qual lutamos e acreditamos, a nossos ancestrais, por nossos ancestrais, Oroiá.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD. Keeping you informed. As a community service, Word Radio and the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium wants to keep you informed about where you can get no-cost, barrier-free COVID-19 testing this week. Tuesday, September 29th, from noon till 5 p.m. at Sharon Baptist Church, 3955 Conshohocken Avenue. Thursday, October 1st, from 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. at New Covenant Church of Philadelphia, 7500 Germantown Avenue. And Saturday, October 3rd, from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. at Mount Airy Church of God in Christ, 6401 Ogons Avenue. Stay informed and stay well with Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Word Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach, with tips to help you stay well. Many of us have heard this term before, but may not know what it really means. Compassionate living brings mindfulness and peace to the center of your daily life. Compassionate living can look like this. Number 1, be gentle with yourself and those around you. Number 2, choose to speak kindly to others, even when you're upset. Number 3, become a good listener and practice empathy at home and at work. We sometimes think in order to live with compassion, we have to become someone else. Not so. In fact, allowing peacefulness to be at the center of our daily interactions is something we can practice every day. Go ahead and try it today. Stay well with Word. Happy living.
Stay well with Word. Connect with us at wordradio.com. Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on Word Radio and wordradio.com.
And welcome back to the final segment of Groundings, Evolutions, and Elevation with Brother Shamari. Right here, WRD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WRDradio.com, streaming live on Facebook Live at WRD Radio. Follow us on all of our social media platforms at onWURD. We're going to take our final caller of the day. Brother Kevin from West Philly. When he said he's from West Philly, I had to let him in because I'm a West Philly guy. So good to hear from you, Brother Kevin.
How you doing, Brother Shamari?
I'm doing well.
It's a pleasure to speak to you as always, man. I think we resonate on the same frequency.
Oh, cool.
Because when you say that you're in this life and you have a purpose and you want to be here, it's refreshing to hear that.
Thank you.
I play basketball with a lot of the youths, and I try very hard to give them a sense of purpose, that they want to be here.
Right.
They don't want to be here. You know, they have nothing that they want to do as far as being poor. They want the fast money. They want it now. And who can blame them? You know, you see everyone driving a car, the flashy lifestyle, the TV. It's a constant nuisance to them that, hey, you're nothing. And look at me. So trying to give them a sense of purpose is very, very hard for me. You know, I try anyway.
Right.
They just want to blaze, smoke, and I tell them that the smoking is just taking them away from the reality, the problem that they have for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour.
Right. Yeah.
And they got to face it again. So I've seen 3-4 generations grow right on 63rd and Cobbs Creek. And I'm trying so hard, you know, even when their brothers or cousins are shot, life just goes on. They're just like, well, that's the way it is. I mean, I miss them, but that's the way it is, OG.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do about it.
And it's sad, man. I used the analogy about the fly a few weeks back, and a couple people didn't really appreciate the analogy, but I was really vibing off of what I see happening on my block, and it's very similar to what you just experienced. I'm watching people literally the next day return to the scene of where something, you know, a few hours before or the day before horrendous has happened. Right. And you might have candle lights and teddy bears and stuff right out there, but I'm watching people return to that same place and do the same exact behaviors that resulted in what happened the day before. And I'm like, yo, that's the way flies would do this. So we got some work to do. I think that we are supposed to be the purpose instillers in the generations who come after us, and we have not done a good job of giving them something to live for.
Our talk is meaningless because I have in this land of money where money is God and money is king, for most of the people, I have no money to show them, hey, if you go to school.
So you got to change the referent, man. This is the thing I've been trying to tell people all the time, man. You can't, if you think you're going to buy the hood and you think the answer to everything is economics and money, you're literally going to lead our people back to the plantation in the eyes. You got to break the frequency.
Exactly.
You got to show honor and reward in other behaviors that they're doing. You got to look for something that they're doing that's worth elevating and illuminating, and then you got to recognize it, respect it, and reward them for doing that thing. Everything can't, if you can reduce it down to $1, it's probably not worth doing anyway. And yet everything we do, we're trying to put a dollar value on it. And until we break that frequency, bro, it's going to be very hard to reach young people because we're the ones who told them that the dollar was the thing that mattered. we have to redo that orientation. I thank you for your call, Brother Kevin. And again, I'm looking forward to this conversation coming up next week, WRD Radio, 4 to 7 p.m. Sister Sarita's on vacation, so I get the honor of sitting in for her and having a very focused dialogue Monday through Thursday on the issue of violence in the city of Philadelphia. I want to do my best to make it a productive discourse and encounter. So we're going to close out this segment of, or this episode, or this edition of Groundings, Evolution and Elevation with Brother Shamari, as always, with Pop Pop knows something. He learned how to read, y'all, so he's going to show us what he knows now. Pop Pop, take it away.
Yes, sir. And I see we're evolving, too. Evolving and elevation. You put evolving in
Yeah, man. Every week I add a new word, but I'm going to stick right there. That's it now. I'm about grounding, evolving, and elevating.
I got you. The violence must stop, boy. The violence got to stop. This is the words we heard. I was walking down the street, the village of Philly. In any neighborhood it could have been, but this particular neighborhood, it was Mama and Zinger and I. We were walking down the street, and this is what we heard. We heard a group of youth, young people, because I heard us talk about young people tonight. We got to go out and outreach to them, and we got to talk to them, and we got to, bring them up and elevate them. Mama and Zinger and I, we heard a group of youth say the violence must stop. That's all. The violence must stop, period. So we said, where's that coming from? We went to the youth. It was about 7, females and males. They were about, say, from 14 to 17. And they had these shirts on. And the shirt, and on the front of the shirt, and we saw the front of the shirt, and Mama and Zinger and I said, what is that? And it was a crown. And at the bottom of the shirt, the bottom of the crown, it was a space in between the words, the letters at the bottom of the shirt and the crown. It was a crown, and at the bottom of the shirt it said RGB. And we was like, RGB, with the recent death of the woman on the Supreme Court who did nothing really for us. We said, well, why are these young, black youth wearing a shirt with a crown on it, and with the words, the notorious RGB. So Mom and Zing and I said, well, let's go and talk to them, because we don't miss a chance to talk to the youth. We the elders, we don't miss a chance to talk to any youth. So we went and we spoke to them, and we said, well, look, you got that shirt on. Why are you glorifying, or why are you wearing that shirt that says the notorious RGB? You know how the youth are. They said, oh, geez. They said, Mama, Baba, oh, geez. And they turned around. And what was on the back of their shirt was a flag that was red, black, and green. And they said, that's what it stands for. It stands for, and these were young people.
Mm-hmm.
They got something on their mind. Wasn't violent. Wasn't anything negative. And when you meet young people with awareness, man, you feel different, because they got things to teach you. They said, this is our flag.
That's right.
They said, we don't pay homage to the red, the white, and the blue with the stars on it and 50 stars, because that flag was made without us in mind like that. Our flag is the red, the black, and the green. It came to us through Marcus Garvey. They were running it down.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, for a community, a village, as you said, to elevate and to evolve, you got to have a flag, because within that flag, you develop a sense of commitment.
And purpose.
Purpose and achievement. He said, look what happened within that flag. He said, when Marcus Garvey brought the red, black, and green and said, this is the universal flag of all black people, we had a Black Star liner. We had a newspaper. We had a a hierarchy. We had uniforms. We had a nurse corps. We had a missionary group that helped one another, all under one banner and one flag.
And the youth had a purpose, brother.
And they said, RGB, remember Mama, Baba, old head. It's the red and the black and the green. I said, wow. I said, that's what I'm looking for. So I asked Mama Nzing, I said, Mama Nzing, can I tell that story? She said, go tell that story, because that's a story of hope. We can never give up the hope. When we talk about violence and we talk about our people and we talk about senseless gun violence, we can never, this is what the youth taught us, you can never give up hope.
There you go, and I hope it's in that red, that black, and that green. Is ironic. I don't know if y'all checked in, but Mama Nzinga, when she had her turn on the mic at the drum circle earlier today, she dropped. She didn't tell the story like you told it, but her focus was still on that R, that B, and that G, the red, black, and green. That's where our purpose, our destiny. That's our calling, y'all. And if you want to get your youth recentered on something else, because it's very rare you're going to see a young person in the red, black, and green jacket, flag, face mask, out there committing what we now call black on black crime. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, but trust me, it's not the people who are clear about that mission and that work who are out there preying on our communities. So if we want an answer, when we return to our way, the red, black, and green, and that purpose, guess what, y'all? The violence is going to decrease. So let's figure out how to make that our collective vocation in the spirit of Ujima. That's what we will explore this week from 4 to 7, as I sit in for Sincerely Sarita in that hour, and we explore not just violence in Philadelphia, but how to overcome and eradicate violence as it's impacting our black communities. Talk to you then.
Livelihood, the new initiative from Word Radio, connecting Philadelphians to jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. Solutions on Word. Hosted by Dwayne Royster and Amadi Braxton. Solutions on Word. Exploring solutions to national, state, and local issues through the lens of race and gender. Solutions on Word. Fridays 5 p.m. till 7 p.m. exclusively on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Solutions is sponsored by Power Interfaith Movement, working towards life, liberty, and democracy for all.
The 2020 census is a snapshot of the American population. Count as Caribbean and fill out the census by mail, by phone, and online at 2020census.gov. No immigration or citizenship questions. Made possible by Caribbean Community in Philadelphia and Philly Counts.
This is a rhythm, a warrior's rhythm, victorious rhythm, a glorious rhythm.